Before we begin, remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and share this with anyone who you think needs to hear this message. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can click the join button, become a member, and get access for free to the exercise performance course where I teach you to squat, bench, deadlift, shoulder press, do pull-ups, and dips. Not only that, but you will also get the audiobook of the Book of Puck, narrated by me, and also the exclusive podcast for members, the Coffeecast, where we do weekly Q&As. Now that we've had that out of the way, let's begin.
Sup? How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. I've been doing fine. Looking for a new job. And all of a sudden you got nothing, and now all of a sudden you've got 3 job interviews lined up. It's like, by God, man. Oh, but we're getting there. We're getting somewhere. So that's good. So what's the topic of today? Well, right, wrong, and somewhere in the middle. Stuck in the middle with you. It's kind of interesting when you look at social media and especially the engagement market. Sup, Godspeed, mate. Good to see you. Or the outrage market. Somebody always has to be wrong. And it reminds me of Thank You for Smoking. If anybody has ever seen that film, it's with Aaron Eckhart. It's actually a pretty brilliant film. Did you know, by the way, that in that entire film, nobody smokes? Nobody lights up a cigarette. Very ironic. But there's a quote in there saying, I don't have to prove I'm right. I just need to prove my opposition is wrong. And that's what you see a lot of on Twitter, things like that, online debates, online arguments, things like that. And especially red pill is wrong. And I was thinking about that because especially now with certain divorce situations, now his convictions are going to be in doubt with a lot of people. Although you've seen that a lot in religious circles where it still tends to happen. Religion won't save you from anything. Just humans are fickle, humans are emotional, and humans make decisions that they later on might or might not regret. And you see that from the tradcon space that are attacking TRP, where it's like, you're wrong and blah, blah, blah. And first of all, okay, you people say we're wrong. Sure, we're wrong. Now what? But second of all, what if? What if the things worked for me, or maybe they didn't work for me and I need adjustment? Because TRP are tools. The whole men swapping node red pill thing is just men swapping their tools around, where it's like, hey, I implemented this behavior and got this result, or I changed this behavior and got this result, where formerly I got this result. So in my humble opinion, the only way TRP can be wrong is in a manner the same way using a screwdriver to drive in a nail is wrong. So you all know the phrase, when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. That's kind of what that comes down to. If you only have one method of dealing with things, well, then you can kind of expect that not everything will turn out as right as you want it to turn out. Now, I need a little bit of work on that phrasing. Red pill is wrong, just as using a screwdriver to drive in a nail is wrong. Something like that. But then the question becomes, so what if you're wrong? Well, depending on who tells you that you're wrong, I guess. Depends a lot on that, I guess. What you can see with Matt Walsh and guys like that, Ben Shapiro, whatever. Most of them are branding. I was talking to a friend of mine about that he got called out on Twitter all the time with Nuke. He got called out on Twitter all the time. He's like, what should I do with this person? or these people actually, because it gets called out by multiple people. Like, well, why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Are they doing it because they actually have a genuine point and want to genuinely help you expand your perception? Or is it just for clout reasons? Because when you are a bigger account on like Twitter, things like that, people will often argue with you just for the sake of arguing to get you to showcase them. That's a lot of what happens. Then you get to the all publicity is good publicity aspect of all of this. Now, you guys might have had it in your life as well when you were doing your thing. Like even in fitness, I've been there where okay, I went a bit extreme. Like I went running every morning, things like that, went to the gym every day. And people were telling me like, "Yeah, that's wrong and you're ruining your social life and things like that, blah blah blah." And it's like, "Okay, I might be wrong, but what makes you right?" kind of thing. Because like they're boozing away. They're not saying that boozing away is wrong, not at all. Like boozing away their evenings so they could cope with all the other things in life, not liking their own appearance and not liking the way they would feel. And it's like, well, am I really wrong then for doing all of this? Now, I will admit it was a bit extreme and I really stopped doing that, like not going running anymore every 6 a.m. in the morning. It was great for my cardiovascular health. Not lying there was great. And running has some like mental benefits and things like that. But that's kind of what you have to look at too these days. That the people calling you out that you are wrong is do they have a life you want to live? And that could be in anything. That could be in anything, mind you. Like not just TRP. TRP is a good example because like I dabble in that space. I am in that space, things like that. But this could be with finances as well. How many times, because like you are followers of Cappy, most of my audience knows who Cappy is. Most of my audience came from Cappy and Ryan and guys like that. Let's say you go the minimalistic route. You go the minimalist route. You buy the older model phone, things like that, blah, blah, blah. And you've got people telling you, like, why would you do that? Why? Money is for spending and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're in crippling debt, living paycheck to paycheck, worrying about where their next income is going to come from. Cappy who? I don't know, Martine. Hello, Marty. Good to see you. Now, criticism from those people, you can ask yourself as well, like, okay, who's telling me who's wrong? Because you're telling me I'm wrong and to live more extravagantly, yet I see you suffering under your own choices. Am I really wrong then? Well, are you? And are the choices you making giving you the results you want? Well, that all depends on you. What do you want? And what if the choices you make do not give you the outcome you want? Well, what do you do then? Well, unfortunately, life has no rewind button. Life has no save points. That will be something if you have save points. By God. The only thing you can do then is chalk it up to experience. Because, like, not every circumstance ever is oh so unique. A lot of circumstances reoccur and things like that. And that's why generalizations are a thing. Like generalizations and stereotypes are a thing for a reason because apparently there is an occurrence in said behavior. And the only thing you can do then is, well, chalk it up to experience and move on. Look at the next experience where something similar occurs and be like, hey, last time I did this, I did X, Y, and Z. Now I might want to try A, B, and C. And then you go from there. But then you get to the men swapping notes parts. We do that. And then we have entire institutions coming for us saying we are wrong. It's like, okay, what are we specifically wrong in here? Because, like, this guy had a problem with a nail and I'm telling him to use a hammer. Or this guy had a problem with a screw and I'm telling him to use a screwdriver. What is wrong there? Know what I'm saying? So odd in those cases that the trads and everything come after people saying that you're wrong. Oh, but you're using the tools for the wrong things. It's like, no, I kind of use them for the beneficiary of myself for myself. It's like, and that's where the biggest problem comes from, where the individualistic aspect of all of this does not bode well or rubs idealists the wrong way. Well, you see a lot like the TradCon Utopia. Nuke's been talking about that. It's an old Whisper post. You don't need blah, blah, blah. You need a blowjob. I can't remember the exact post. Where, from a theological perspective, a lot of people must abide by the rules, otherwise the rules will not survive. Do I agree with that to a certain extent? I kind of do. I'm not saying like all of us all of a sudden should follow the rules, but there is a certain system in place that requires people to keep their head down and listen to the rules. But then you get into a whole different argument about capability of people and capability of understanding. You see that in the workplace, even in the workplace. You always have a couple of guys who kind of go their own way, who know the rules and follow them to the they don't follow the rules. How do I phrase this? They don't follow the rules to the point they can. Like, they push the limits, they push the boundaries. I used to be one of those, especially in community college. It's like, but that's against the rules. It's like, is it? I never got caught. Nobody ever like told me I wasn't allowed to do it, and I still got the grades and everything. I still got the diploma. So I don't know about that. But then you have the people who kind of fear what might come from above. Ironic, isn't it? They might fear what come from above when you do not follow those rules. Only never realizing nothing really ever comes from above. But if you don't have those people, the whole system will fall apart. Because then, like the community college aspect, if nobody showed up for class and did all their work outside of class, what would teachers be good for other than a remote job, looking at your work, grading it, and be done? No more like physical classes. That will be something, and the whole system would fall apart. And we saw that during the unknown virus of unspecified origins, where a lot of homeschooling took place. Not necessarily homeschooling, but like taking school from home more. There's a difference between those two. And I think we will never see a complete dissolvement of that system. I think there will always be a crabs in the bucket mentality saying you are wrong for going for what you want. There it is. Thanks, Marty. John Watts. Remember when we called it Kenny Rogers? Yeah, Ryan called it Kenny Rogers. Get that safe scum from excellence. Oh, that will be something. Save points in real life. Answer that question for yourself. If you could have one save point in life, where would you have it? Where would you have it? I think a majority of guys would do it around the time they were 18. I think. A majority. I think they would have like choices for college or maybe military, things like that. Almost everybody I know who went into the military ended up well. They ended up well. Most of the people I know. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions because, like, well, I've also met people who went into the military and they were in very dangerous areas and they didn't come out that well. They were in one piece physically, not mentally. Well, that is kind of the gamble you need to take there. But were they wrong for doing it? I don't know. Based on what? What are you wrong about? And plus the fact, and this is kind of what I mean with somewhere in the middle. Why do you care if it's wrong? That's a big question I have. Why do you care if it's wrong? Because if you truly think somebody is wrong, then don't do it. But that is me kind of like talking to a wall here where, hey, if you think this is wrong, then don't do it. Because clearly it is not what you want. And to have that peace of mind and for yourself to be able to live with the fact that, yes, there might be people out there who might be wrong. So don't do it. Instead of wanting to evangelicalize what you think is right. Make sense? Do I make sense? John Watts, I'd love to see a normie try to safe point their life for dating only to realize no matter what they do or say, they find out she'll never like him. Oof. That's a horrible realization. It's a horrible realization for a lot of people. But we've all been there. We've all been there. X-Runner 55. Military is an accelerant. I don't even know. My Dutch is kicking in. Apologies. Oh, yeah. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. So, do you guys ever have that where this goes back to what we talked about on Post Zero with the job, how to behave at work and things like that. How many times haven't you had a coworker say something where you knew they were wrong? You knew to your core they were wrong, but you also knew very well, don't mention it. Just don't say anything, don't mention anything, and let them be wrong. Because they didn't ask you if they were right or wrong. You just know they were wrong. And when you put your nose in other people's businesses, people tend to not like you. I've had this back when I worked in gyms. I had a boss. He was a gym owner. He was also the owner of places for recreational substances. So kind of explained why. But he believed that you could like reduce body fat by exercising that certain muscle. And I told him, like, no, body fat is like a general thing as a whole, and you can't spot reduce body fat. And then he was talking to like the biggest guy in the gym who told him to eat pineapple because pineapple was good for burning fat. I'm like, what the hell? Now, I was a bit younger and I thought I knew it all, so I opened my big mouth. And guess what happened? But that's how you learn. You're learned the hard way. The best lessons are learned the hard way. Like I said, that's years ago. That's what you get for wanting to prove you're right. You don't always need to prove you're right. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? It goes back to 48 laws of power. Think as you like, but behave as others. Those are the situations where you learn that in. Now, with the internet and all that, you need to prove you're right because you need to sell something, because you need to combat somebody. That's in, I can't remember where that was. Might be 48 Laws, might be Strategies of War. I believe it's 48 Laws, where it's like create a cult-like following. Create an us versus them mentality. And that's what you see a lot. A lot. They are wrong, we are right. And then you have opposing groups, and meanwhile, a lot of people just want to be left alone. And they just share their opinion here and there. And it's like, oh God, I just shared an opinion, nothing more. Leave me alone. It's even when Cappy got when he called out Matt Max Fury Road, which indeed was a horrible film. Let's be honest here. It indeed was a horrible film. So the whole point being of me rambling here about right, wrong, and somewhere in the middle is that it doesn't matter. if you're right, if you're wrong. And you need to be happy about being somewhere in the middle, that you can't always prove your point right because you don't need to prove you're right. You're not going to prove anybody right anyway. The best you can do is lead by example. Like, that's a thing you see a lot about parenting. Like, how do I teach them this? How do I teach them that? Well, you lead by example. If you don't want your kids to scream, then don't scream, kind of thing. If you don't want your kids to eat unhealthy crap, then don't eat unhealthy crap. If you want your kids to exercise, then go exercise. Be an example to them. Even Traddy had that. Traddy bought my old rack, and no, he didn't buy the bar. He got a bar somewhere else. It was just a bit like, I thought to myself, like, huh? No, because I had the Texas Power Bar before I even had the rack. Yes, I did. So he trains at home as well. And this kid is looking at him training and is now showing interest in bench pressing. The kid is 4. It's like, what? It's pretty dope to see. But did he tell his kid, well, you need to lift it? Otherwise, no. He just did it. Kid saw it. Kid acted like him. Didn't need to prove he was right. Didn't need to prove he was wrong. He just did his thing. And that's what you get when you're in shape, is that people will ask you questions more instead of you telling them what to do and what not to do. Kind of thing. And that comes with everything in life, be it financial success, be it dating success, be it fitness success, be it whatever success, be it YouTube success. I'm not a YouTube success. Far from it. Sup, Cliffhanger? Good to see you. I loved Kenny Rogers Roasters. Damn good chicken. Never had it. We only have KFC here. I don't think we have any other fried chicken restaurants here. Not at all. By the way, if you guys have questions or whatever, or topics you want to discuss in the chat, just let me know. It's like I said, I don't know how long I will be going here from. I don't know how long I will be going from here. And that is okay. And that is okay. But yeah, the save point is an interesting question. The save point is an interesting one. Like, you guys had that, like, in video games, where you knew you had to save and you didn't, and then you died, and then you got back then you had to go back the whole fucking part that you just went through, all because you were too stubborn to actually save the goddamn game. And I wonder how many people would give that up for in life, where it's like, hey, you can have a save point, but that means you can do like all these years all over again. I wonder how many people would take it. I wonder how many people would take it. If you push this button, kind of thing. If you push this button, this will happen. Those weird experiments. If you push this button, you will get 5 million, but 5 random people all over the world will die. It's like, would you do it? It's like, I don't know. Do I know them? Oh, you don't know if you know them. You only know that after you push the button. Then you get those whole things. But in all honesty, like I said, I wanted to get a quick live stream in. So I did. So if you guys in the chat want to discuss something, go ahead. Just go ahead. Because otherwise, we're going to wrap this one up soon, if you don't mind. Like I said, quick little live stream, quick little hey, saying hello. And the point of all this being was be happy to be in the middle. Hey, Lost in the Wild, new member. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member, Mr. Lost in the Wild. I remember you. Thank you very much. Hello. Hi, Jack. Hi, Lost in the Wild. Good to see you. Membership section. You can find my version of the Book of Book audiobook. You can go download that. Been a little busy. What have you been busy with? Let me, if you want to mention that. I've been busy too. There was a movie with that premise. It was always the woman pushing the button. Oh, God. When art imitates life. Also, Indian bank accounts hate recurring payments. Oh, I believe you. I believe you right there. Do I have something? I think I have something for you. There we go. There we go. So I have to manually renew it each time. Don't worry, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you want to support the channel. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So where was I? Oh yeah, the whole point of this, the stuck in the middle thing, is where you don't feel the need to prove you're right and that you're happy to be wrong when somebody tells you you're wrong, because you might not even be wrong. It all depends on the person telling you you're wrong. Because what are you wrong for? You know? And do you need to be right? No, but it all matters just on if you're happy. Jack Substack. Thanks, Marty. Look at Marty promoting all my shit. I don't even promote the Substack so much. I should. I could. We don't do should here. You could. That's the beauty. Like, that's a big difference as well. You should do that. Okay, why? Well, X, Y, and Z. Well, I don't want X, Y, and Z. And then it becomes you could do that. Indeed, you could do that. But that's it for me. Quick little live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back Friday night, Saturday morning for me with Red Evening, and Rob will be there together with Nuclear Caudillo. It's been a year since the first show. I even believe it's the first podcast he ever did with Rob and I. So that's going to be fun. It's a 1-year anniversary of Nuke, which is going to be cool. He did great in the last year, which is going to be amazing. So, yeah. If you're Dutch, you're just right. So there is no middle. Don't be too sure about that, my friend. Yeah, there's a whole movement of should lately. Very disappointing. Yeah, but that's the whole thing. That is the whole thing about like right, wrong, and the middle, where it's like it should versus could. And there's a lot of that, because a lot of people who tell you to should do something, they only tell you to do it so they would feel better about themselves for making those choices. Because if you make certain choices, it shows them that they could have done it differently. And people don't like to be pointed out that they could have been doing it differently and perhaps even having a better outcome than they have had now. That's where you get the whole crabs in the bucket mentality, which usually, if not always, stems from a deep rooted insecurity. Don't do this because then it means I have to do better. That's where the body positivity movement comes from. Big is beautiful, because if big isn't beautiful, it means a hell of a lot of people need to work on themselves. And a hell of a lot of people don't want to work on themselves. And because a hell of a lot of people don't want to work on themselves, big is now beautiful. And a lot of brands run with it because a lot of people have a lot of money. And the more you pander to people with money, the more those people with money would give you their money. That's why a lot of brands and all of that do it. And the better you understand that, the more at peace you are with it. And then when you are in a social situation or whatever, you don't become the conspiracy theorist, doom is gloom, everything is gray. You become the guy who says, you know what? Sure. Yep. Whatever. Yep. Sure. Because you see it for what it is. You see it for, hey, these people just want my hard-earned money, or these people just want me to be as useless as them. And you don't want that. So you choose for something better. You go for that. And then if you're vocal about it, you will get things thrown at you like you are wrong and you should. You should. So every now and then, it's just better to shut up and nod your head. That's Will Smith. God, that's old. That is old. Isn't that his song from Men in Black? Nod your head. God, that's old. And his daughter later wrote the classic song, I whip my hair back and forth, or something like that. I believe that was her. That religious guy, Andrew, whole thing, things should be a certain way. Get over it and adjust to the way things really are. Yeah, it's like I was on 2 panels with Andrew Wilson, both on Rule Zero, and the one he did with Sexton, Charles Sexton. That was pretty interesting, seeing them go back and forth. And there was another one. Where Andrew Wilson said, we should shame them more. And I'm like, shame has only worked on men. Shame has only worked on men because men have that honor complex. Well, not complex. Men have that honor ideal, which you can appeal to, which is why shame works. Like, for people wondering, like, why does it even work? Well, because men have their sense of honor and duty, which has not necessarily controlled, influenced men's behavior for decades. Because a real man would, a real man should. And if you want to be that great protector, strong, big man, you do it. A real man should, there was a thing about combining finances. Again, like, I'm going through old Red Evenings, and Rob and I talked about, like, combining finances and not to do it 3 years ago. 2 to 3 years ago, and it's coming up again. So what's old is new again. And it's like, I don't should anything. I don't need to. There's no should. Is it practical? Does it give me a desired outcome? Or does that open the opportunity for my fucking bank account to be plundered for whatever? And does that give up control over my own finances? 9 times out of 10, it's the latter. How many guys have you met who had to have, like, a secret bank account for their own finances because they wanted to buy something nice? I have seen that in real life, where guys had a separate bank account because they wanted to buy something for themselves. And sometimes that was a bit of a huge amount. Not like huge, but it was a big amount. And if Wifey Poo found out, that would mean that money could have gone to something else, like the pantry or the whatever kind of thing. But of course, you should, as a man, because you'd want to take care of somebody, right? Like, yeah, whatever. Like, of course you want to take care of somebody, but then you get to the whole, you should set yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm, because why wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, maybe because I don't want to lose myself in the process. Maybe. But there is no losing yourself in the process, because God or Jesus or Muhammad or whatever will save you. It's like, no, that doesn't work like that in the real world, because life doesn't end at choices. Life goes on after that. And what do you do then? Well, you find solace. It's like, yeah, good luck with that, because you're still in a shit ton of trouble. A lot of trouble. And what do you do then? Well, prevention is better than the cure. I don't know if that's a saying in English, but it's a saying in Dutch. Voorkomen is beter dan genezen, which indeed means prevention is better than cure, which I know, preventive medicine. There we go. That's the English version, which is preventive medicine. Don't shoot yourself in the foot because you don't have to, just because somebody says should. Girlfriends even learn not to contradict me after a while. Rusty Field. Yeah, depends on how far she is. Like, some have a more disagreeable personality, some don't. In general, you're absolutely right. When that deep conversion takes place, it's like everything you say is like gospel. I think I mentally filter out you should statements at this point. Yeah, which is the best way to do it. It's like when somebody tells me you should, it's like, I could. And it even, which is funny, like social calibration, social aspect here. It even teaches you to be kind of more charming in all sorts of situations. Because in general, people do not like to be told what to do. And there's a huge difference of interpretation between the word should and could. And watch what happens when it becomes suggestive versus, and what's the word I'm looking for now? You have suggestive, which is could, and then you have should, which is more know-it-all, more know-it-all kind of thing, more preachy. Yeah, suggestive versus preaching. There's a big difference between the two. You'll be surprised how much better responses you get when you use the word could. Just saying. Rusty Fuel, in the past, women shamed each other. The critical mass for female shame is simply gone. Need about 70 of females to participate in shame for shame to work on women. But that's not going to happen. So what are you going to do? So what are you going to do about it? Look at the world for what it is, or look at the world for what you hope it could be? Now, looking at the world for what it is might hurt a bit, but in the long run, you're better off because at least you're living in reality. And that's why they call it the red pill. Matrix. Ooh. Marty in sales. I know a guy who shot his foot to keep... Oh, wow. To keep from going to Vietnam. Damn. My dad just had his motorcycle run over by a woman in a Buick to keep from going? What? Oh, wait. So your dad had his motorcycle run over, so he didn't have to go to Vietnam. And the other guy literally shot himself in the foot from going to Vietnam. Okay, damn. So here, that's a matter of perspective too. Like there's easier methods to reach the goal. Turn the you should around to a playful deal making. Yeah. And that doesn't just account for women, that counts in your social circle as well in dealing with men. And I said that, even Rob said that. Rob and I were talking about red flags about guys, and Rob mentioned if you are insufferable. If I, as a man, do not want to hang around you as another man. This is actually a big one. Like, if it's people in general who dislike you, it's not just women. Kind of thing. And that tells you something about yourself. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it. If I continue now, it'll become rambling and we go brrr into the ground. We do not want that. So, Lost and Wild, thank you very much for renewing your membership. I really appreciate that. Guys, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below your thoughts of this show. Let me know what your thoughts are in the need to be proven right, need to be proven wrong, or if you're like, I'll just see what I'm getting out of this. And if it's what I like, I'll keep doing it. And if it's not what I like, I'll stop doing it. So let me know about that and about the shaming thing. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. So that's it from me. I'll see you guys on Friday night. And toodles. Tot ziens. Oh, yeah. If you want to support the channel like Lost in the Wild did, click the join button, get my version of the Book of Puck audiobook for free, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers. And no, Rusty Fuel, not expecting shame come back. No, not for women, only for men. Because it works way better on men. It works way better on men. Women have more practical consequences, which are now taken out. So, yeah. But for men, it's that appeal. It's that appeal to honor and nobility, which is just a man thing. So, see you guys soon. Cheers.